All right, I wanted to sit down and just break down and talk about some of the games I'm looking forward to playing or checking out for the remainder of 2024. We're a little bit past the half-year mark at this point, so I wanted to dive in and see what else there is to play. Also, there's some things I wanted to look into, something a little bit weird with the rest of this year. I'll talk about that in a bit, but in terms of games, the first one is an obvious one that I'm looking forward to. It's Astrobot. Some of you guys actually clowned on me when I said I was excited about this when it was announced at a PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Direct. What are they called? God, I keep forgetting what all these things are called. State of Play. So with Astrobot specifically, it's because I liked Astro's Playroom. It was that PS5 pack-in game, and it was just a really fun, tight platformer. Really well made, felt really high quality and smooth from the controls to the visuals, and the fact that it was just like fun, nice homage to PlayStation's history, right? It had all this stuff about all the different hardware, all the peripherals, all these references and Easter eggs, collectibles, references to PlayStation characters, famous ones throughout the entire thing, not just like recent characters, but old school characters as well. So with this new game just being called Astrobot, this is like a full-fledged version of that. Not a free pack-in for the PS5 that like you could play through in like in a few hours. This is a little bit more something. Apparently it's a pretty lengthy full game, and I'm excited for that because while yes, it has the kiddie platformer stuff, I hope it has some of the stuff that Astro's Playroom had where you can kind of try and speed run levels. Like there was enough there for the platform sweaties. So I'm just curious to see what they got cooked up. Like no compelling narrative or like interesting and complex gameplay concepts and mechanics, just a fun platformer, dude. I miss those. The last one I got that I really enjoyed was the newer Crash Bandicoot. It's about time, but like having grown up playing all those platformers on like PS1, Nintendo 64, I celebrate when things like this drop. So I'm really hoping this one is good. It releases in like September, and when it comes out, I'll probably be talking about it more. Now, here's a different one you might not have expected. It's called Gory, Cuddly Carnage. Shout out to a few of you who sent this to me on social media because you thought it would be right up my alley. You were absolutely right. I looked into this game and it had been announced a while ago, and I kind of remember it being a thing, and I totally forgot about it. But essentially, this is like a cat on a skateboard, like hoverboard mixed with Devil May Cry style action combat. That is something I am very much into. It was kind of what I was hoping Biomutant would kind of feel like, but it didn't really quite pan out to be that great in like the action combat department. This looks like it's gonna scratch that itch for me. I mean, it's from a smaller studio, Angry Demon Studio. I'm not really familiar with any of their previous works, but it is from the publishers of fun, smaller games on Steam, like The Falconeer, Martha is Dead, Those Who Remain, Deliver Us the Moon. So on the publishing side, that's good. This game though, it just looks like fun. And if the concepts really work out, I'm in. The next one is a big obvious one, like the big AAA one this year, the one that I'm looking forward to. On the Ubisoft side, from what I saw of Assassin's Creed Shadows, not doing it for me. But I was pleasantly surprised with what I got to see of Star Wars Outlaws behind the scene, and now that makes me look forward to the full release in a couple of weeks now. I was a little skeptical of this one when it was announced. You know, the trailers just kind of felt a little flat. The main character felt a little flat. I just wasn't sure what they were going for. But I had some faith in the developers. Massive. They're the people behind the Division games, and you know, even though they're live service games, they're like one of the few ones I did like, and I just like how they build and create and design worlds. So for them to take on an open world Star Wars game, it seemed like a good mix, and it feels like they're doing that. From what I got to see and play of like a work in progress version of the game, like walking around bustling streets with NPCs in a Star Wars game, you know, a droid goes by, there's vendors. That was a cool experience. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't really seen that in a Star Wars game in a minute. So that I get, and like spending a little bit more time with the main character, Kay Vess, like I can see that there might be something interesting there with her. Like the trailers didn't really like help with that. The third person shooter combat still seems a little simplistic, and I still do have a lot of questions about the game. I only saw so much, but I don't want to just like reiterate what I've said in other videos when I previewed this game. I do think there's potential here, and I hope it turns out to be good. It still could go either way, and there's still all that like weird pre-order bullshit, like the DLC stuff that riled people up, rightfully so. And I will always just have skepticism of a Ubisoft game, but on the other hand, like I've been very happy with the Star Wars games recently. I'm also an easy mark for Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I don't talk about the movies or anything playing online. But yeah, fingers crossed. Also, sorry if you hear noises. There's like construction going on outside. That sound, I don't know if that got picked up by the mic, but yeah. Another one, weirdly enough, I'm excited about is the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, because it's been so long since I've replayed Dead Rising, and with what they're doing here, it's like a real remaster. It looks like it's like a visual overhaul here. Character models look different. They changed Frank's voice. It's the newer voice actor for him, which I don't love, but visually there's overhauls. There's a couple of quality of life improvements, but they're saying that they've kept the core idea of the game and everything there in place, and that's good. So I'm excited to revisit it, because like I love that game so much, but I never replayed it. It just kind of like evaporated for me after I played it. But I'm excited to jump back in, but also I'm excited to see people experience this game for the first time, because the whole time limit thing and the way it's structured, I think is really cool. I think some people are going to be very surprised by that, but I think with the rise of people loving brutally challenging, interesting things like, Elden Ring, like the fact that like Elden Ring got mainstream recognition despite it being a challenging game, I think means more people are hungry for weird experiences that challenge you in different ways. And I think Dead Rising will surprise people with its structure. But then it's also just like a fun ass sandbox. My favorite thing in that game was just, running around a mall, picking up objects and figuring out how to use those objects to kill zombies. And then also like suplexing them and chokeslamming them. It's good shit. It's so ridiculous. Another big one, it is slated for 2024. I was surprised when they announced it was coming this year, but Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So I played Kingdom Come Deliverance. I wasn't head over heels for it. I could see the appeal for a lot of it, but it just didn't quite land with me. I also played like right when it launched, so it had a lot of technical issues. That's, neither here nor there, but I think with the second one, I'm excited to jump in fresh, and I'm open to really fall in love with this series. I'm curious to see like what the developers do with more money, a bigger budget, grow out these systems, really push the storytelling aspects further, because that's the stuff I wanted to see. I didn't care that it was like so insanely like historically accurate, like medieval Bohemian Kingdom. It's really just the gameplay concepts. So I want to see how that stuff's freshened up or pushed forward, and especially the main character, like where he is now. It still seems like they're going to give a lot of player flexibility in terms of an RPG sense. So I don't know. I'm just really excited to sink my teeth into this one. Also, sticking with medieval, Kingmakers is apparently going to launch in early access on PC this year. This is the one that went viral. I talked about this on the Friends Per Second podcast, the newest episode, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself a little bit, but this is the one that went viral where it was like a medieval battling game, and then all of a sudden like a guy shows up in it with a gun and a pickup truck. I love absurd, ridiculous, fun concepts. People say that like, oh, all games are the same now. They're all remakes and reboots. New ideas are dead. I disagree, because we have things like this. And I really hope it's good. I really hope they take advantage of this concept, because I think it's brilliant. To see armies waging war, and then there's like a guy who just has a grenade launcher. That's fun. That's just straight up fun. It doesn't need to be insanely challenging or convoluted or in-depth. I just think that's a good idea. This game does seem like it's bringing a bit more, though. It is going to have actual strategic planning elements, like plotting, like placing troops, placing equipment, catapults, stuff like that. So I'm excited to see how it's all going to play out. And I really just want to see if it's going to make good on those trailers and that concept. Because if that's only a small part of it, I'll be a little bummed. But if I can just have that level of fun that it looks like from the trailer, I'm in. That's it. I'm easy. Next up, in a total change of pace, it's the Plucky Squire. This is another one where it's like creativity winning out. These concepts seem cool. I mean, you see the trailer, you see the gameplay on screen here. Yes, it seems like something cutesy at first, but like there's just like a lot of good ideas going on here. Visually, it's insane. It's like genre bending. I don't know totally, like this is one of those games where like I haven't looked too far into it other than like, that looks sweet. I'm sold. I will definitely try that. And it seems like the sentiment has been positive. Just reading previews and stuff like that, watching fellow content creators that have gotten their hands on like early preview versions of the game. It sounds like it's going to be pretty cool. I haven't played this yet. I haven't like previewed it or anything like that, but just like talking to colleagues who have, has me even more excited. This whole storybook character concept and like 2D and 3D planes and how they mess with that just seems really well done here. There's a couple of games that have attempted to do this, but never to the level that I totally found satisfying or that it like really took advantage of these ideas. And from the beginning, Plucky Squire for me has been like, oh man, they're really fucking going for it. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they do. It's being published by Devolver Digital. I like what they choose and what they back and what they publish. So yeah, as of right now, it just has a 2024 date, and I'm looking forward to it. And before we keep going, we want to talk about the sponsor of today's video. It's Magic Spoon. Now, Magic Spoon, if you don't know, is a fantastic cereal that I've been eating. It's essentially a cereal for adults. You know, I grew up watching Saturday morning cartoons and getting that good old-fashioned big bowl of sugary cereal, and I still want that as an adult, and Magic Spoon has kind of helped out with that because it's got that same great nostalgic taste, but it's high in protein and lower in sugar. Today I'm eating their Frosted, which is delicious. Excuse me, sorry. I know I eat cereal without milk. You guys have made fun of me before, but we gotta move on. Magic Spoon cereals feature 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in each serving, and 140 calories per serving. However, along with that, Magic Spoon now also offers treats, which I have clearly broken into because I'm a monster, but these carry the same philosophies of the cereal. They're absolutely delicious, and they're good if you need a boost of protein on the go. So if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna finish eating this because I'm just starting my day, but if you want to check out Magic Spoon, all you have to do is use code ONJAKE or click the link in the description down below to try Magic Spoon cereal or treats today and get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon in your nearest grocery store. Along with that, Magic Spoon is so confident in their product that they back it with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. There's QR codes up here if you want to access it, or once again, click the link in the description down below or go to magicspoon.com/onjake for $5 off. And big thanks to Magic Spoon for sponsoring my videos. Now, excuse me. Switching gears from that completely, Space Marine 2. Space Marine 2 for me is interesting because I don't know shit about Warhammer. I'm sorry. I've said this in videos before. Some of you guys actually sent me some good places to get started, to get into that lore, and if I ever have time in my life, I absolutely will. But I just think like big chunky Space Marine guy has always been kind of like cool and appealing to my like teenager side of my brain. Like, yeah, awesome, fuck yeah. And I played the, I believe 2011 Space Marine game, really enjoyed it. Again, didn't really know too much of what was going on, but from a gameplay perspective, I just thought it was a really good time. I played Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, the first person shooter where you're a big Space Marine guy. So I'm like, I got a foot in the door here. And with Space Marine 2, it just looks like more of that, but like with that World War Z engine, so it's like a lot of crazy enemies on screen at once and tons of gore, and then doing that cooperatively with other people is also really appealing. The developers have been upfront. They said transparently like that the campaign's gonna be like 12 hours. I don't always need like an ultra long, compelling campaign, but like with that and the other modes, I don't know how long the game is gonna last me, so there's always gonna be that question, but just as that experience, that power fantasy, it looks like a shit ton of fun. And big thing is I'm glad that it's releasing in September, so I don't have to wait too much longer. Also, the Dragon Quest III like HD 2D remake, this is just looking really cool. I love this visual style, and apparently in my mind and like talking to people, these have always been the best Dragon Quest games. My experience with the series is way later down the line, and even that is kind of limited. So I am excited to jump into this completely fresh. I've just wanted a good ass RPG with this style because I never really got super deep into the Octopath games. They just, you know, they were okay, but I don't know. I know the second one is apparently kick ass. I just never got around to it, but just Dragon Quest looks good as hell. And that at least is November 14th. But a big one I have talked about a lot in the past is Frostpunk 2. It's probably my most anticipated of the year because I love the original Frostpunk so much. I like city builder strategy type games quite a bit. I've talked on the record how much I love things like Civilization, but also SimCity, or I mean, it's not really SimCity anymore, right? It's City Skylines. I love those types of games, and Frostpunk for me gave it a brutal aspect. Like it gave it like RPG level decisions and choices and consequences, but they pushed it so far in terms of how challenging all of those individual decisions are and how stressful it feels to be as a leader making all the choices to keep this city alive, this kind of Snowpiercer, like frozen over city, how you keep the people alive and warm. It really feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation where every situation will help one thing, but fuck something else completely. But just in really interesting ways. And then visually and everything, the vibes are just there. So with the second game, they're going a little bit crazier. The resources have changed. It seems like there's more character-based stuff, more getting to know individual people in the cities that you're building out and trying to keep safe. And I'm just in for more Frostpunk before I even knew what the concepts were, what they were adding. So recent previews and trailers and stuff just looked absolutely awesome, and I can't wait. That's September 20th, so September seems like it's going to be a pretty good month. Also, just as a quickie, the Indiana Jones game, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. No release date yet, but I'm looking forward to playing this one. I am not a diehard Indiana Jones fan. I like Temple of Doom the most, and I know that's like a big hot take. It's probably because it was the first one I saw, so it skewed my perception of Indiana Jones a little bit. But I'm just curious to see how they handle this IP. I really like machine games. I like the Wolfenstein games, but I'm just curious to see how this goes, because I think first-person Indiana Jones is a weird choice, but I'm open to it. Let's see what they got. I also, just in terms of like another adventure where Indiana Jones is in his prime, is appealing to me. The best part of that new one was when he was young. But also, like, Indiana Jones has like a real special spot in video game history. Fate of Atlantis, The Infernal Machine. He's had a lot of really good games in the past. So that it feels right. It feels like that should be a thing again. And in terms of like everybody talking about characters and movies being de-aged and like we're using CGI to bring back Luke Skywalker or Harrison Ford is de-aged. Every Marvel movie has de-aging at this point. Like, I actually think that shit makes more sense in video games. It's already a completely digital world, so I do not feel weird or uncomfortable seeing a young Harrison Ford in a digital space. Does that make sense? Like he could live on forever in video games. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that game goes down. Anyway, then one other bonus thing I wanted to add is the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta. There's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of speculation that it's going to be 2024. I don't know for sure. At this point, though, I've talked so much about how I'm a diehard Metal Gear fan, and I feel weird about them remaking them. But at this point, it's happening. It is what it is. So I'm really just looking forward to checking it out and seeing how it goes. If they screwed it up, if they changed anything too much. I don't know. It's just curiosity more than anything. So it's a very highly anticipated game for me. And just to see what Konami's doing and how they're approaching this stuff. Are they underfunding it? Are they half-assing it? Are they kicking it out the door between this and the Silent Hill 2 remake? So the Silent Hill 2 remake is coming this year. We know that for sure. So I'm wondering if they're going to give that some room to grow and Metal Gear will be early 2025. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. So I guess on a Silent Hill end, I'm also excited to check that out just out of curiosity to see if they blew it or if it's cool. I'm not like the most diehard Silent Hill fan to like an insufferable degree like I am with Metal Gear, where I'd be really nitpicky. But either way, I'm just curious to see how it's going to go with Konami, because their track record has been messy in the past. But, everybody can turn over a new leaf. I'm just saying that. I'm just being really nice because I want them to make more Castlevania games. Now, the one thing here on this whole thing that I wanted to talk about is that it seems like a pretty light year. I mean, we have the heavy hitters again, a big Star Wars game, a new Assassin's Creed, a Call of Duty 6. But like other than that, there's not, like, when you look at the release calendar, right, and you're looking at October, November, it's looking pretty light. Usually those months are fairly jam-packed, October at least, but it doesn't seem absolutely out of control this year. So my question is this because last year was just so crazy? Are we spoiled at this point? Did all the publishers like blow their load last year, and this is like an in-between year where a lot of great big games are still very much deep in the works? I don't know. But I say that also with like the caveat, like things are subject to change. Games can get delayed, like my list, of course, but also games can get added. So I'm wondering what else we're going to hear this year, because there are a lot of games listed for maybe 2024, but they don't have release dates. So I try to talk about things here that mostly have release dates or seem very, very likely to release in 2024. But there's plenty of things that just haven't been dated yet, but might be 2024. But also, we're at the point now, it's July if you're watching this, so we still have Tokyo Game Show and Gamescom. Gamescom in Germany, like the biggest game convention in Europe, seems like it's shaping up to be a big one this year. Xbox is going to have a big presence. I think a lot of the publishers are showing up. So I'm curious to see if there are any surprises or just cool things added to that like end of the year 2024 calendar. A big November game, or that like early December game that everybody forgets about, like the Avatar game released last December. I don't know. There's potential there. So I'm just looking and I'm like, yeah, this is the second half of 2024. But I wonder if there's going to be something else, because it feels like something's missing. Again, maybe it's because some games just don't have release dates yet, but are coming 2024. I don't know, like an Indiana Jones or something like that. But for now, I've just talked a lot. I've speculated, but I'm just talking about stuff I love here, stuff I find interesting. So if you get that, clicking the like button helps me. But I do want to hear from you guys in the comments, like what things you got your eye on for the rest of 2024. Maybe you're still just playing Elden Ring. I don't know. You do you. But like, if you got something this year that you're still looking forward to playing, let me know. Let me know what's on your list. It helps me know. Also, maybe something I missed, because there's plenty of things, like I said, that don't have release dates yet. The list is huge, so let me know what you're thinking. But thank you if you've been sitting around listening to me yap for this long. I really genuinely appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I got for you today. You know the deal. I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's all me.